Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon, and in this week's episode we are making the 7 best easy lemon recipes. We have to start, of course, with lemon curd. If you've never had homemade lemon curd, you are missing out. It is 100 times better than the store-bought ones. For all these recipes, if I say you need the rind of a lemon, just finely grate the yellowy part off the outside. You don't want the white bit, as that is very bitter. The curd needs the rind and the juice, and then you add the sugar and the eggs and extra egg yolks. And I'll write out all the quantities for the ingredients on my howtocookthat.net website for you, so I can give it to you in grams and ounces and cups. Then you want to microwave that for 1 minute, then whisk it to evenly distribute the heat, and repeat that 3 more times, and it will become hot and thick like this. Then add in the butter and stir that through until it is all melted, and then pour it through a fine sieve into a jar. The sieve just gets out the rind and any pips that we might have missed, so that it will be totally smooth. Store that in the fridge and then eat it on some toast. Yum. Next is super easy lemon posset, and for this one you put cream and lemon rind and sugar into a pan and then heat that up. Heating it up just allows the sugar to dissolve and it draws the flavour out of the rinds. You do need to keep an eye on it though, and as soon as it starts to bubble, take it off the heat so that it doesn't oil over. Pour it through a sieve to remove the rind and then stir in the lemon juice. Then pour a small amount into serving glasses. It's very rich, so you don't need much. And then you just put it in the fridge to set. The next day you have this beautiful, thick, creamy lemon dessert. Now for lemon pudding. This is one of my favourites. It's super easy. You put sugar, lemon juice, lemon rind, butter, eggs, flour, and baking powder into a blender and blitz it all up until it's combined. Now if you don't have a blender, don't worry, you can just melt that butter first and whisk it together by hand in a bowl. Then you tip that into either individual small bowls or one large one like I am. Then bake that in the oven until it's golden. How easy is that? And when you pull it out, it will be slightly jiggly in the middle still, and that's perfect because this is cakey on top, and then underneath, let me just loosen that from the edges and show you, underneath is this luscious lemon sauce. You're going to want to serve some of that with it, and maybe a bit of ice cream. That is good. Now for Dave's favourite, lemon slice. To make the crunchy base you need flour, icing sugar, butter and lemon rind. Now you could do this next step in a food processor or by hand. If you want to do it by hand, you just squash the butter, cover it in flour, and then you just want to rub it between your thumb and your fingers. So you're going to rub the flour into the butter and keep doing that movement until it looks like this. Tip that into a lined tray and press it down using your hands or the back of a fork. And then you want to bake that in the oven. While it's baking, whisk your eggs, add in the lemon juice, flour, salt, cream of tartar, lemon rind, and lots of it. And you're going to whisk all of that together. Then microwave for 1 minute and then give it a good whisk. Then give it 1 minute more in the microwave and see how thick this is now. And that's because you've got the flour in there, and as that heats up, it thickens the mixture. Add the butter and whisk that through. Now I'm adding the sugar last. You could have added it at the beginning, but everybody has a personal preference as to how sweet they want lemon slice to be. Some people like it to be lip-puckeringly sour lemon, while others prefer it to be really sweet like a lemon candy. So adding it at the end means you can add as much or as little as you like. Then push the mixture through a fine sieve to get rid of the rind. Now, if you're wondering why we add the rind and then we keep getting rid of it later, well, there's a lot of lemon flavoured oil in the rind, and by heating it up in the mixture, we get some of that oil into our mixture and it flavours it. But the rind itself stays fairly intact and is quite chewy, so if you want a smooth texture, you need to get it out. Tip that onto the base and bake it in the oven until it's set and no longer jiggly. Let it cool completely and then cut it through that crispy base and you have this delicious lemon slice. A classic lemon cheesecake. Choose whatever cookies you want and either put them in a bag and bash them with a rolling pin or use a food processor. Add the melted butter and mix them together. You can use any cookies you want for the cheesecake base. I'm using ginger nuts because I like that ginger flavour with the lemon. Line a tall straight-edged container with baking paper and tip the crumb mixture in and then just press those crumbs down to make a flat, even layer. A bent spoon is great for this job. Now the trick to getting gelatin with no lumps is to add cold tap water instead of hot water and immediately stir it around until all the gelatin is wet. Then you just want to set that aside until we need it. Whip your cream to soft peaks. Then in a separate bowl, whip your cream cheese. Having the cream cheese at room temperature makes it softer and much easier to whip. Add the sugar and the milk and mix that together well. Then you want to pour in your lemon juice and of course mix that through too. Now for the gelatin, it will look rubbery like this. You want to microwave that for 30 seconds to melt it. Check that there are no lumps in it anymore and then with the beaters running, pour it in as you whisk it. Add the cream and fold that through lightly. Then pour the whole thing into the container on top of the base and then I want you to freeze it. Once it's frozen, you can use the paper on the sides to pull it up and out of the container. If you're making a flatter cheesecake in a wider round container instead of a tall one, you don't have to freeze it, you can just set it in the fridge. But freezing it just makes it easier to handle and move around if you're making a tall one. If you've made some lemon curd, you can spread that on top. If not, you can add some whipped cream or just leave it plain. Let it defrost in the fridge and then serve it up. You could of course vary this recipe by adding blueberries, raspberries, ginger or lime, whatever you like. All of them would taste great. Next is the lemon and poppy seed muffins. We want to put the wet ingredients in one bowl and the dry ingredients in another. We've got flour in there and we are adding to that the sugar, then the baking powder, and of course the poppy seeds. Then into this bowl, we're going to tip in the milk, lemon rind, egg, then the oil, and the sour cream, or you could use yogurt here instead. Whisk the dry ingredients to get rid of any lumps and to aerate the mixture. Then whisk the wet ingredients until the mixture looks smooth. Tip that into the dry ingredients and mix it together just until you can't see any more flour. You don't want to over mix this. Put the mixture into a lined muffin tin. Using an ice cream scoop just helps you to get them all exactly even. Then bake that for 15 minutes. You can eat them just like that, or if you like to live on the sweeter side of life, mix together some lemon juice and icing sugar to make a glaze and dip the top of each muffin into the glaze. And there you have a lovely, moist lemon and poppy seed muffin. Now for lemon cookies, you're going to need some melted butter. Add in the sugar, lemon juice, lemon rind, then the flour, and after that the baking powder, and stir that together. You could make these with orange if you prefer rather than lemon. We've had a lot of lemon today. Roll spoonfuls of dough into balls and put it onto some baking paper and then just use the palm of your hand to flatten it a little bit and then gently imprint each one using a fork and then bake those in the oven. And once they're cooled, they are nice and crispy lemon cookies. If I was coming over to your house today, which one of these recipes would you like me to bring? If you want some more simple recipes, check out some of these other ones here. With thanks to all of my amazing patrons for all of your messages and your support. You guys are just so lovely and encouraging. Make it a great week by being kind to others, and I'll see you on Friday.